Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Matthew Pompey. This is an amazing writer, director, creative director, cinematographer, branding, marketing, graphic design, web development. Stop me when you're ready, because Matthew is just this ultimate multi-hyphenate Black man from Canada. So welcome to the show.
Thanks. That was you did your homework. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I guess an interesting word I heard the other day of someone just saying they were basically a serial entrepreneur was they're a polyglot. And apparently that just means they're multifaceted in a lot of different things. They're very diverse in a lot of different cultures and everything like that. But in layman's, it kind of just means you do a lot in your industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of even just going towards that intro, you're absolutely correct. All the above. I had to wear many hats, especially in Toronto. We're not only diverse in our cultures, we're diverse in our work. So if you want to stay employed, you got to be able to do more than one thing.
I can see that. I can see that. And you're a multi-hyphenate person who's actually good, because I'm always wary of people who have multiple hats. Because trust me, you might be a jack of all trades. I'm using quotation marks, but you guys can't see. But they're only good at one thing, really. The rest, they're like subpar at. There might be like a C grade, and yeah. So, and that's not
it's
you.
Funny you say a jack of all trades, because that was my nickname in college. Not jack of all trades, ace of all trades, because I just happened to be good at a lot of different things. But really what it was is that I try something. I have this one thing that stuck with me since college is that every time I want to do or learn or zone out from things, I take 1 hour a day. Sometimes I fall off, so I'll do like 2 hours another day or three in another one, but I'll take it to literally just learn something new in my field or industry. And I think that's the reason why I'm still where I'm at, because I'm constantly telling myself to learn. Like, I mean, I graduated with honors from Seneca at York, but it didn't mean anything. My portfolio did. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
exactly.
it's just to keep on going and being a part of the industry. It never stops.
It's true. It's very true. And we've known each other for almost a year. I'm almost certain we met.
Just about, yeah.
In
Yeah,
November.
we met around
November last year. I remember it was
yeah,
November.
it was around now. I was gonna say that.
Yeah. Because I met you through Jason Booth, who is a mutual of mine through the
as well.
Through the filmmaker space. A lot of people think we're related. I'm like, we don't know. We just happen to have the same surname. We don't even know if we're cousins. We're just like, okay, cool. Because some people may think, oh, that's a reach. It's not, because with our surname, it's spelled very specific in a certain way. We have an E at the end of our surname. And yeah, any other person with that surname, we're usually related. So we're like, okay, maybe, but we've never gone that deep to see if we're related.
Yeah.
So Jason hit me up on Instagram and was like, yo, my boys over there in London, I want to connect you guys. I was like, yeah, sure. And we ended up meeting up in Chelsea. Yes, for us Londoners, yeah, Chelsea, that bougie area. I remember when
I love how I didn't know bougie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, word? Oh.
Yeah. I was like, Chelsea. I was like, okay, he's got money. So I was like, wow.
I lucked out.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, went up to Chelsea and we just had like a good time. We were just chatting, getting to know each other and stuff like that. And I just was like, okay, cool. Got to try and bring you in the scene. And you'd been here for what? How long at that time?
When you was in London? That time, I think I was there for like 3-4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about there for that long. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like you just came, we connected kind of like at the worst part of film in the UK.
I know.
Because nothing is going on, or everyone's locked into like a project. So there's no real way to kind of slide you in somewhere unless it's like random daily work here and there. So it was just a bit awkward. But we got to go into like that award show earlier this year, London Web Fest, which was fun and very interesting. They saw my tweets. That's all I say.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Sounds about white.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry guys, but it's the truth. So yeah, that was fun. So it's been good connecting, but Matthew's always jet setting everywhere. He's got a lot going on. He's in LA 1 minute, back in Toronto, then Miami, now currently in Amsterdam. We are recording via Zoom, guys, so please don't come for me in the comments. So yeah, so I had to have Matthew on the show. So Matthew, tell us about you. Tell us your journey. How did you start from? What are your humble beginnings to now?
My humble beginnings. Well, I mean, to be honest, it's two things really, because there's kind of like the beginning, and then there's like the maturity version of it. So the beginning started off with me kind of getting more into like graphic design. And obviously, as a young person, it's like it's not easy to get a full version of Photoshop in Jamaica. So we had to wait for a teacher to give it to us or something like that. And, back then it was floppy disks, so I don't even know half your listeners know what that is. But like, let's put it this way: one floppy disk has, was it 2.14 megabytes? That's so specific to remember. So to install Photoshop, you needed like 12 floppies in a row. You had to do one then the other, which was hilarious. But enough about that. Really showing my age now. But what happened is I download Photoshop, and I'm big on anime. So I would take characters like the Saiyans, obviously everybody likes them, and I'd make them black.
Okay.
So that's how my like artistic side started to grow and show. But then my business side started very quickly. Thanks to my mom, because obviously she basically would get like an old computer and tell me to fix it, so we have one to use. So benefit to her, but also to me, I learned how to fix computers and stuff like that at a very young age, and I started getting coding and stuff like that. But what I started doing with the Dragon Ball Z pictures was bringing them to school to get a little bit more lunch money. So I'd be selling the pictures that I printed from the printer. One day, which is really funny, I ran out of ink, and I told my mom if we can get more ink. And she's like, "How do you waste the ink in like 3 days? Like, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh." So I told her my little scheme, how I went to go there and selling all like Goku as black and Trunks and Vegeta and all that stuff, whatever. She's like, "Oh, that's great. Okay, cool. So you owe me this much for it."
Yeah.
Right? Lo and behold, like it took me maybe a good little like week or two afterwards where I started like stopped caring. And my mom was like, "Wait, what happened? You didn't sell anything today?" She's like, "I didn't bother anymore." It's like, "Oh, okay." And then I realized how much it cost for the ink, which was like, I don't know, 200, 300 Jamaican dollars. But in one day, I would sell each one of the pictures for 100 Jamaican each. So I was making like 30, 40 of the pictures. But my mom was telling me that the ink cost like 2,000 Jamaican.
Okay.
It was only 200. So I learned a very valuable business lesson right there. Okay. Make sure you know what's going on with your money and how it's being spent. But that was the beginning. Adolescence was kind of like got me started my career journey. So, Photoshop, graphic design, started doing that. That was me in like, how old was I? I don't know. I was in grade 5, grade 6. So then we moved to Canada around second form for me. For everyone else that's not familiar with that, that's like grade 8, basically. And then in Canada now, I start doing a lot more coding. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Black Planet back in the day. But like, MySpace, Asian Avenue, there was a Jewish one and another one I can't remember, but they're all like little microsites for different ethnicities.
Okay.
So what I would do a lot since I was in anime, I noticed that all the cool little personal websites were on Asian Avenue. And I was on there a lot anyway. But the Black Planet ones were very lackluster. They're very simple or anything, whatever, nothing to against Black people. There's one or two in there, but they weren't really creative. So I would start learning code from Asian Avenue and start copying and pasting little effects. And now when they come on to my site, they're like, "This is so cool, this little thing," because obviously now it's like, no offense to Asians, this is their culture or whatever, right? But they're literally like have like a whole bunch of like Harajuku stuff, Hello Kitty and stuff like that. But what I'm looking at is like, so if you put this code and make something sparkle, you put this code and make something like a little box. So obviously when I come down for Black culture, around the time it's like Pimp My Ride and stuff like that, whatever. I'm putting sparkles on rims. I'm putting a little box around the background of a lowrider to make it stand out. It's like I'm learning all these things. Now people started messaging me and asking me to do this for money. I was like, whoa, okay, this is a big thing now. It's like I'm like in high school with like a Palm Pilot and stuff like that because I have a little bit of money, like back then I thought. But I definitely have more than my peers. So even when phones came out, this is actually probably the first thing that got me into video. when the flip phones came out, so like the V300, the V200, and stuff like that, whatever. I was a big nerd. I was in what's called Comtech, so that we're like the kids that do all the graphics and do the new stuff. But I just wanted to edit and film, and I didn't have it back then. Didn't have any money to buy a camera or anything like that. So that was the closest thing I got to doing filmmaking. But one thing that was really funny too, I was a full-on nerd. So like, I never got bullied because I was showing all the bullies how to use their phones because I was the first one to get one. Like, I used to have money for that. So it was this weird little transaction back and forth. Like, I would be like, I couldn't be friends with my friends in Comtech outside of Comtech because they were being bullied by my quote unquote friends. But it was like survival in high school, whatever. I was a cool nerd, whatever the hell you want to call that. But aside from all that drama, websites were a real passion of mine. So I started doing it, and I registered my business at the age of 18, pretty much in grade 12. It was the final year before college and stuff like that. And I was making some good little money. Unfortunately, I was partnered with somebody. I didn't partner going into it, but like this is older guy. He was like 25. I don't even remember his name. I think it was the mall or something. And you notice how talented I was from some other thing I was showing off. Because like back then, websites were not like a big thing. So the fact that I had one, people knew about it and stuff. So he partnered with me, and then I realized he was doing none of the work, but getting 50% of all the money. Because the idea was like he was supposed to support me with the business, help out with websites, blah, 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 and it didn't happen. And that's actually what forced me to change my name. I used to be called Meticulous Design Solutions, I think. And then I formed a new business by myself called Meticulous Design Studios. And that was the big thing for me to start. So I got my first real gig, which was a website, which was a church site. I did a website for my church. So, my mom talked me up. She wants the gas. And I was like, yes, my son does this, my son does that. And then I guess this is where I'll round it out to where I got into film afterwards. But then my second website, this is probably the most interesting part people can listen to, but my second website ever was a porn website. So it's funny. First thing the church.
Wind back. Whoa. I just love how you just caveated into that, like
right, just like it's a part of the journey. So it was basically a church website and a porn website. If you know anything about SEO, they're eerily similar, which creeps me out. But the idea is that it's supposed to catch your eye, and it's supposed to be put into the viewership of people who have never seen it before, because it intrigues them. So like on a porn website, their SEO will be God, Savior, things like that, whatever, right? Because they want to catch people who don't like that. But on a church website, a lot of the keywords in there or whatever are usually like porn or dog style or something like that, because they want to get people either to feel guilty or to feel things. So now this comes back into websites. My third website, I had a client that was very picky, and they didn't like to do they couldn't find content. It's not like how it is now. We didn't have like Unsplash or Pexels or sites that had really good quality videos or pictures that could work towards what they want. But unfortunately, it was someone I knew and they were a good friend. So I'm like, all right, let me help them out. So they said they'd buy me a camera. And to me, that was fine enough to have a website for free or something I could just do in my spare time. But now I have this new tool that I could do all that stuff with. It took video, but I got into it for photography just to get images for site client.
Okay.
But then I started fooling around with it by itself, started like doing some self-tapings of stuff, whatever. I was trying to be like this one person called MKBHD. He's a prominent Black YouTuber.
Okay.
Back then he's younger than me, so back then he was really young. But like I saw him on YouTube. I was watching YouTube.
Okay.
And I wanted to film and stuff like that. So tech was a huge part of my life, and I started doing that. So that's the beginnings. The long story medium. That was basically how everything came together: business, graphics, web,
nice.
photography. Yeah.
Nice. Wow. What a journey. I mean,
I know, right? I really just thought about it now. I'm like, man, that was
yeah. And don't worry, to be honest, you're showing me your age, because I wondered, but I'm messing. But I didn't know you were Jamaican as well. I didn't know that.
Yeah, born, raised, and immigrated.
Yeah, I did not know that. See, you kept that quiet, because I say that is because a lot of my closest friends as of this year are all Jamaican or Trini. And when I say Jamaican and Trini, like Jamaican and Trini, like they've moved here, and I've just become really cool, close friends with them. There's just a different soul about you guys. I don't know what it is. I just think maybe you guys are just it. I'm being very serious. And like, yeah,
we're
maybe it's
very
because it's the UK and they're trash and people are trash. I don't know what it is. You see what's going on with the government lately. So I don't
yeah,
know.
that shit's hilarious.
But yeah, so that's really amazing. So to start off from in Jamaica, selling these personalized Dragon Ball Z images,
Yeah, don't
entrepreneur
come for
from
me,
like,
Bandai.
you know, entrepreneur from what, like 7 years old to now
Yeah.
being where you are now. You are able to be as I said, you're a jet setter. So what is the scene like in Canada? What is it like for a black filmmaker? Because we, as from a UK perspective, in my opinion, we see that loads of stuff is shot in Canada, from like Hollywood standpoint, like they shoot everything out in Canada, and they're shooting everything here now as well in London these days. So what are the opportunities like for filmmakers, particularly black filmmakers anyway? Because for us over here, we're still trying to catch up to America. I jokingly always say the UK is about 40 years behind America in terms of the black representation on screen and behind the scenes. So what is it like in Canada? Because I just don't know.
If I'm being honest, it's very clicky. I can say right now a handful of people that are like the best export from Canada. They all know each other, like directly. It's not the 6 degrees of separation isn't like one or two people, whatever. It's literally like they all know each other, like they went through the same program, whatever. And I would say they all stem from Director X and his amazing portfolio. So I mean, kudos to them. Obviously, like the lineage from that is amazing. But outside of that, I'm going to be honest. Even with me, like I would say he doesn't know my name personally, but we work together, right?
Right.
But outside of that camp, I'm going to be very honest. It's not easy to do what you need to do. Everybody's very clicky. Like Drake has his OVO, Abel, The Weeknd has EXO. And just to use those two as examples, once that thing is made, it's like everyone was in their own little circle. And I'm going to be honest, one thing I've learned, especially from traveling, the States is beyond supportive for anything that is not even its own, just towards its culture to support it and whatever. And that's one thing I really love. Aside from his many faults, Community is something that is so pushed, especially Atlanta. I hands down, Atlanta or even New York, but Atlanta hands down. People I've met once in my life are still writing for me, like in my comments, But all that to say is like they really push you creatively. So to say Toronto's scene is a little hard because everybody likes to do competition over collaboration. One of my best friends now, his name is Dwayne Holmes, Dookie Dukes, Director Dukes. We had pseudo beef for the longest time because every time someone would come up to us and want to do, I don't know, a music video or something like that, whatever. It's like, oh, who is it gonna be? Is it gonna be this guy or is it gonna be that guy? And if I got the job, he'd hear about it somewhere else. If he got the job, I'd hear about it somewhere else. A mutual friend of ours, Ben Lawson, we're just like together for his birthday or something like that, whatever. We're just like, oh, this guy's so cool. It was like, yeah, this guy's so cool. And we always joked about like just that little thing towards us, even just not liking each other and never meeting each other. Yeah. And now it's like I can't even think of like a project that I probably wouldn't want to put him onto or even putting onto. Some of my best experience, even working with Lauryn Hill, was literally because of him. Like, so I couldn't even fathom like, what my career probably would be like if I kept that mentality up, right? Like I'm always about collaboration over competition. It's so much easier. But Toronto is not like that.
That's interesting. And if I'm honest, hearing you say, we got OVO and The Weeknd's company as well, like, I mean, they probably wouldn't even have that if they didn't go to America. So that's the thing. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So, and I have seen, obviously, I don't know the Canadian scene that well, but I have seen loads of clips from especially Canadian news outlets talking about Drake and how he does push a lot of Canadian artists or in his team. But I don't know essentially if that's enough, because Drake is essentially a pop star with an American market, and then it just kind of goes from there. So it's interesting to hear, because I think in the UK, I would say it's the same. It's very cliquey. There are certain groups of people who are in a certain rooms and they just like to stick within that group. And as
Mm,
myself, as a black filmmaker, and I'm talking specifically with the black industry, I know a lot of those people. Um, we'll see each other in events and we'll be like, hey, what's up? And we'll have our catch up and blah blah blah. But I don't know if they'd ever bring me in because we're not cool like that. But everyone
mm,
always says to me, "Oh, we respect your work, we respect your hustle." Everyone's always telling me your names are in certain rooms. I'm like, look, that doesn't help me if my name's in rooms and nobody's pulling me in, you know. So it's
yeah.
like, so there is elements of clickiness, but then I'm not like that either. Like, I wouldn't say I'm down for collaboration anymore because I'm past that, but I think I want everyone else to win. So if you win, I win because you getting through that door is me being able to come through after you, you know, and that's what people don't look at when they're entering certain spaces and breaking down doors. Some too many people love to be that person, and that's the only person in the room, and that doesn't
Yeah.
grow anything. So that's really interesting to hear about the scene because you would think, you know, because I remember when I was at university, the group of friends, people, I don't say friends, but the people I used to hang out with,
Acquaintances.
yeah, because um, there was a couple of them who really wanted to go to Canada. That was their mission at one point. You know, they kept on talking about it all the time because they were like, okay, you know, they film so much out in Canada. We could work on there and we could get our career to what it want to be. But just because they're filming stuff out there doesn't mean that the industry is booming like that. So it's really interesting just to understand that. And it's so interesting because, you know, Canada's amongst the Commonwealth, you know, with Britain. So listen, I was still
Mm.
shocked when I found out the Queen is on your money. I was like, what? I was like, sorry. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was really interesting, really interesting. So it's good to hear the differences, but also similarities within our industries as well. What is the
Yeah.
representation like though within the industry there, like for Black
It's
people?
very diverse. I will say that. It's
Okay.
very, yeah. Like, I mean, I always say like black people of all races.
Mm.
Because really that's what it is, right?
Okay.
It's
Okay. Okay.
very multicultural and a lot of mixed people,
Mhm.
as you want to say. But yeah, I mean, it's not without its caveats. I mean, racism is thriving everywhere. So
Yeah.
I feel like because it's so diverse, it's like there's so much prevalency with
Mhm.
how people can be creative with their racism without even noticing it. But at the end of the day, it's very open. It's very. I've been so surprised in certain situations how things that to me should not
Mhm.
happen. And what I mean by that is like, you know, like a Black Lives Matter rally being completely curated by white people. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
well, okay, but it's like all right, all right. But it didn't seem weird too because there wasn't a it wasn't like a Rachel Dolezal kind of situation.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
literally like there was
Mhm.
reference to it. There was an act. The person was actually cultured. What I
Mhm.
didn't know is that they had um, a black dad and
Mhm.
a white mom.
Okay.
Um, but still, like, not that should be an excuse or whatever of race or anything like that on the topics or whatever. But they were sensitive topics, and it wasn't
Mhm.
something where they like tailgated it to be like a Karen. It was like the floor was opened up to black people, but the person organizing it was
Mhm.
not, which confused the hell out of me. But then I understood it afterwards.
Yeah.
So we're very open with that diversity, for good or worse, however that is.
No, that's good to hear, especially just knowing that you have that diversity and the representation within the right areas, because that's what we're always pushing for. So it's Black History Month in the UK here. So
I
again, we're
know. I'm
like,
sad I didn't get to come.
yeah, we're like, hey guys, outside of the month, this is what you need to be doing. That's kind of what we're
Mm.
pushing. So no, but I really want to come to Toronto. Like that's on my bucket list to go there. I really want to go to TIFF.
Yeah, you missed TIFF
Well,
this year.
I
I thought you
know
were gonna come this
because
year. I actually had that in the chokehold. I was at the Woman King premiere, all of
damn. Look, next year, I'm
that.
coming. I need you to take me around everywhere. So yeah. But in the span of
I
your
got you. I got you.
okay, but also in the span of your career, you've worked with Lauren Hill, Erica Badu, Issa Rae, Jadena, Wale. I could go on. So, like, I mean, first of all, I'm very jealous Okay, especially like everybody. There's nobody who I could say is like favorite, but Issa Rae, especially Lauren Hill. Like, what did you work with them on?
It's funny. A lot of those specifically are through. I was creative director for over a decade for a company called Afro Chic. So it's a cultural arts festival, or that's kind of what it turned into a little bit. It started off as kind of like a cool event and stuff like that, and then the power to my friend Amoy Henry, uh, just a community genius. She basically built that from the ground up, and it just turned into something huge, right? Like it started off in kind of like I remember one time it was a fashion show, but it was like a lounge and kind of like a really long, not a dive bar, but like a lounge, right?
Yeah.
And then it turned into this huge thing with like lots of funding and stuff like that, just based off of her, the strength of her. So for all of those, mainly it's either graphic or web work, except for Lauren Hill. But for all those people, any sort of included or whatever, it was doing designs for the actual events themselves, and just having complete autonomy, creative direction in these things. Really, that's there. But we got to work with the people hands on, especially Erica Badu. Erica Badu was amazing. Just her in person, just even getting to check off my bucket list. I got to work with like my two favorites, like Lauren Hill and Erica Badu. It's kind of crazy to me, but it's all the strength of my friend Amoy Henry. Shout her out at mohenry.com. Just did her website too. So that's, oh my gosh, sorry. Going back to that too, I forgot I have another business now too called
See what I'm saying,
Autopilot. Guys? Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about it. That's so bad. We are autopilot.com. We are a Black-owned business, but we basically make turnkey websites. So you go there, sign up, you get a website in 7 days or less, automatic, completely hands-free.
Nice.
Aside from that, yeah, so I got to work with them and everything through Afro Chic, designed product placement and whatnot for different people. The Lauren Hill thing was actually through Dwayne, as I said before. That was really cool. I got to do like social media graphics and stuff like that for her campaign for her tour when it's going on. The one she was actually on time for, and of course, COVID ruined everything. That was one of the biggest jokes. I thought that was so funny. I was like, she's gonna be late when it comes out, whatever. I'm just like, hey, because I never knew about it, right?
Really?
Everybody's like, I like the whole thing about her never like coming out. You know, the whole show's done or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, word. And she shows up on time for all of her stuff for her tour. Her tour started off. I'm like, yeah, I'm talking about it. She's on time. And then no one really got to see it because the COVID canceled the tour, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, I guess she turned over a new leaf, and look at that.
Yeah, before COVID.
Before COVID.
I'm sure she's back to her late ways. Don't come for me, Miss Lauren Hill. I'm just saying. That's really cool. I mean, that's honestly like bucket list ticked off. Like that is amazing. And to work with such pioneers within the Black space, you know, and artistry, and have done so much, especially for Black women, you know, and for them to live up to like your expectation, that must have been great as well, because you know a lot of people say, oh, you should never meet your heroes and stuff like that, but that's really good that you had a good experience with all of them.
Yeah, I will say they're definitely very good experiences.
No, love that. So like I said, and you keep listing and plugging all of your amazing entrepreneurship, because you even have
collaboration over competition.
Yes, it's true, and you're still getting paid as well, so that's the main thing as well. You know, so like, and then you also had that like live gaming street. I'm probably getting it all wrong. Remember, I came to your event where you know it felt like the Olympics, but it felt like the Olympics for these guys. Like, you know, tell us more about that, because that was amazing. Such a different experience to me. I had so many people like, next time let me know you're going to this. I was like, oh, sorry, damn, I didn't know you was into it like that. You know, so
the gaming community is crazy.
Exactly, and it was such a great experience. So, you know, how did you get to be part of that as well?
So that's actually why I moved to London when we met. I'm now the part owner of Unequal Media. So we're a live streaming gaming and events company. So we do a lot of gaming tournaments. We're actually the premier. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I can say that because I'm not sure if that's correct anymore. But we were the sole provider of the Tech and World tournament for London for a little bit. That was before the older owner of the company passed away. So right now, that was actually that event you went to was our first official one back. Because when I became an owner of the company, I rebranded them, relaunched our website and everything like that. And we sought out different clientele. So that was actually our first one back with Red Bull, who's now our official client.
Nice.
So that was like our first kind of like little tester. Now we're going to be doing something coming up, which we can't wait to share when it is available. But yeah, it's going to be really fun. Yeah, so that it's a game streaming company.
Yeah. I think what's really great about you, Matthew, is that you're an entrepreneur but also creative, and some people don't know how to master that well. You know, some people just are creatives and they're all about their creativity, and which is fine, but they hate that they have to have like a 9 to 5 job to pay the bills, but you're able to master both. So what skills do you think you need to be able to have that balance? Because you're one of a kind, it seems like.
I would like to think so. I like to think we're all one of a kind, right? Nobody can be uniquely you.
Yes.
If they can, you probably should work on yourself a bit more. But all jokes aside, it's in my industry, which is every industry almost. It's just really it's a creative industry. Really. It's not like I'm doing taxes or something like that or finances. But I'd say in my industry, you just really need to be able to be very risk adverse. As well as learn how to pivot on the dime, because honestly, like the gaming business was kind of me panicking that I wouldn't do well during COVID, and then funny enough, during COVID, everybody wanted a website all of a sudden. So it's like both of them did really well, because gaming is like now like how many billions of dollars of an industry versus like the hundreds of millions when it started out like 2-3 years ago, right? Well, not started out when esports kind of really started out, right?
Like Twitch and things like that. They've really blown up.
Exactly. These companies, you guys thinking about them like they're like, like 20 or something years old. These companies are just like 5-10 years old.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, look at what they've accomplished in that short time. So it's just a matter of being able to pivot on a dime. Stress management, like nothing phases me in a lot of different cases. And I think that's just mainly a tribute to the fact that I need to be able to handle something happening and going completely wrong and still figure out what the next steps are to salvage or to go on to it, right? It's honestly an easy job if you know how to be enamored with a lot of things at once and still delegate properly.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I get it. I'm an organized creative. That's why I'm able to be a producer, production manager. Doesn't mean I like it, but I can do it.
But you should, especially, you're no stranger to stress then, especially.
Yeah. I mean, look, I always tell people, and they've heard on this podcast a lot. This time, just before I met you, I was about to swing on everybody on my team, but I didn't. Okay, I held back, and it was very good. Okay, I restrained. I kept, I withheld my restraint. So, so yeah, you get very stressed at times. Look, I'm about to shoot 2 commercials next week, and I'm very stressed at work. And these producers are getting on my last nerve, but I'm pulling through. Okay, I'm pulling through. So, but you can be very organized. It's about, being a quick thinker as well and understanding what works and what doesn't work and being practical. Me saying no to your idea doesn't mean that it's bad. It means that we can't afford it. So, write and direct within your means. Don't be. I remember sometimes when you're talking to people and they're pitching you ideas or they have their scripts, and I remember reading one, and this girl was like, she wrote a scene where a guy could be going to an airport and like the rom-coms and dramatically like, stop, I love you. And I was like, you're trying to write a web series, you cannot do that. Okay, and first of all, you need to build a set for that, or you need to hire the set what has that whole thing, because you cannot. That's crazy expensive. You don't have the budget for that. And then when you tell them that, they get offended. I always tell the story of how I gave this one girl feedback to her script, and she seemed okay with it in the beginning, and then a few weeks later I was blocked. So I was like, well, okay. So I mean, I didn't say anything offensive, but it's just like, hey, if you can't take constructive criticism, then what can I do? So,
Exactly.
being a creative is also understanding that it's a business and you need to run, most people get into this industry. The investors you're pitching to don't care about your creativity. They just want to make their money as well. So it's also about understanding markets and stuff like that. So I'm always talking about the UK market and the black UK market and how where it's at and why we don't have the same success as America and stuff, because there's no real, to me, I feel like there's no value in the black pound. So it's like, anytime you go to a
Wow,
British,
that's
I
that
mean, it
sucks.
might be like direct to say, but trust me, you go to these black award shows, listen, it's
Hmm.
always sponsored by hair companies. That's it. There's no like Sony, Netflix, like they're nowhere to be seen.
Mm.
I would say the British Blacklist, Soul, We Are Parable, a few organizations like that, they're doing bigger things and they've
Yeah,
come
I
a
really
long
like what
way.
Real Parables do.
Yeah, they've come a long way, but that's only now in 2022. Like, that's
Hmm.
not good. Like, some people were like, oh, yeah, it's finally happening. But that's crazy that now they're getting the investment from the Channel 4s, the British Film Institute. Like, where were you like 30 years ago? That's the
Hmm.
issue. So, yeah, we're still figuring it out. So yeah. So what's next? Like, what's going on with you? Because you're in Amsterdam, if you can talk about that. Then you're saying you're going Ghana. And then with me and Olu, our mutual friend, we're trying to get you back to London, but we just could never get you work. So
It's like I know it's so bad. I was actually gonna pop in for a day or two, but now I can't
Mhm.
because I gotta go to New York instead of Ghana. So yeah, I gotta go back to Toronto and get a proper suitcase. I just
Mhm.
came up here for a little bit, so only gonna carry it. But
Mhm.
yeah. So what's next? I feel like my directing portfolio is lacking in a way for
Mhm.
personal things. I mean, I can
Okay.
show you a reel and there's a lot of cool looking stuff, but none of it
Mhm.
is really my own stuff I've
Okay.
either directed or filmed for other people. So what's right
Mhm.
now is I'm going to be hyper focusing for the rest of the year on personal productions. Um, so you're gonna expect that call for whenever I reach London.
Yes, please.
But aside from that, I'm actually going to be making products.
Oh.
For the last three products, I'm not going to name what they are only because I
Mhm.
might just brew competition, whatever. Um, that's where I don't want collaboration products. But I've called them for industry like spot on, and someone pointed out
Yeah.
to me today because I kind of cussed her the fact that I didn't actually do it
Mhm.
and look at this company, this big company doing this little small thing I was thinking about, and of course now it shows that there's a market fully for it. So what I'm going to use now is that traction to see how much that sold and be
Mhm.
like, well, here's a better version of it that I've always
Mhm.
had an idea of and proven that it works and there's industry for it. Give me all your money and let's get it done. um,
I like
yeah,
that.
that's the main thing. I've always been very tech inclined, so I've always made little trinkets or gadgets. I got a 3D printer once upon a time, and I
Mhm.
used to make like lots of different things to attach to my camera and stuff for other little knickknacks, whatever, right?
Okay.
So now I think it's just gonna take it to the next
Mhm.
level, get the
Nice.
actual get a. I can draw and stuff on myself, but to get the actual like schematics and 3D printed, so it can be like a
Mhm.
CNC machine. What is it like? Basically, it's a piece of metal, and then they basically cut it all the way down to what it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want to get it to that kind of level to get it out there. And expect me to put up send you a Kickstarter like one of these days.
I'll
Just
be ready to
like
support.
we'll see where it
So
goes. It's like yeah.
nice, nice. So you said you want to get back into directing. What kind of stuff do you want to direct? Are you going to write it as well, or you want ideas so you can just direct it?
Oh, I would love for people to send me ideas, mainly
Mhm.
because I'm getting my red camera finally. So
Yes.
it's funny. It's not like the red camera is needed for me to make these
Mhm.
stories, but I do know that it's going to be a symbol of my personal stuff elevating to the level of where I want it to be. It's been a
Okay.
slow progression, but like I mean, right now I shoot on a Sony A7S3,
Mhm.
and my quality is in the last like 3 years has been like overblown. But even then, for when I do like larger projects, we always rent out Red or Ari. So it's not like it was I'm foreign to them. I use them all the time, but
Mhm.
not my own personal stuff, which is
Okay.
obviously going to be a lot more frequent. But yeah, I'm looking for scripts. I'm a huge anime guy, So unfortunately, my limits are to casting those type of things only because I don't have people who can act and do martial arts.
Okay.
Mainly because I need that kind of level of freedom to work what I actually want to get out. But what I can do now is a lot of sci-fi and I want to say comedy. I mean, you've met me. I'm a funny person, but like my type of comedy would probably go into like like social commentary versus family, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like,
I see
dinner
that.
table, someone's conservative, someone's liberal,
Yes.
someone sells drugs, someone's a cop. It's like, how does that dynamic
Knowing
work? But
you,
that is
I
family.
know. Yeah, knowing
Yeah,
you, I
so
can see that.
I'm literally speaking that from like actual experience. So it's kind of funny. So like life like that doesn't come out the same way. Like something like how Atlanta would bring an approach to it. Like I love I was talking to someone about it the other day, but I don't know what it is. It's eerie to watch. Like some things are eerie in it, but like even this season's been phenomenal to me. I still think the first season was the best, but that's because it was like new to us.
Yeah.
But as far as the story being told, there's a scene. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but there's a scene specifically about mental health where they're inside of like the actual room where they're having a session, and it's just the way he talked about what he was doing. It was funny as hell.
Yeah.
And then the therapist just stops him and is like, and that's why this and this happened. And he just started breaking down and crying, and it's kind of like, the fuck? Like, this is amazing. Like, it's like, oh my God. So I want to really be able to capture stuff like that on film. And I don't know if you watch Gangs of London, but I'm so happy because I thought they were going to do episode by episode, but season 2 came out yesterday, right?
Yeah. So you can watch all of it.
Oh, you know that. See, you don't. I can't surprise you. That sucks.
No, you can't.
But anyway, so all of it is there.
Yeah.
So I watched episode 1 already, and all I can think about is like I can't wait to shoot shit like this. Because Elliot, is he the main character? Yeah, I guess he's one of the main characters. But the guy there, him in a fight scene, just like it just reminded me so much of like one of the fight scenes of season 1. And I'm like, oh, so good. But yeah, love that. That's where I want to be at.
Okay. No, I see it. From what you're saying that you want to do, it's very you. And I need to see that. We want to see more representation of that. Look, Atlanta's done now. Insecure's done. Everyone's trying to replicate Insecure in Atlanta within their shows.
I definitely don't want to do that. But I mean,
but we need more of an authentic spin on it as well. Because I was at the BFI London Film Festival last week, and I saw a film called Brother, which is a Canadian film.
Oh, that was that actor thing too. So Amir, shout out to what they're doing with the Legacy Awards as well. Sorry.
And it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the guy who was spoiler alert, sorry guys, the brother who dies, in the film,
you could have described it in so many other ways. But okay. You're like, you don't have to spoil that one.
I mean,
edit it out.
Okay, I'll cut that out. But anyway, the older brother in it, he's British and his accent was amazing in it, and I just love seeing the Canadian representation of Black Canadians on screen, and also just touching on the Jamaican experience and the households of what a lot of people grew up in. I fortunately didn't grow up like that, but when I spoken to my parents and what they're my grandparents, that's how they were, exactly like that, being very emotionless, and it was just so well done. So well done. Love the cinematography, love the directing, love the performances. It was great. So it was great seeing that representation. So to see to hear actually what you want to create, I'm looking forward to hearing that, because I'll be able to connect a lot with it through the Jamaican culture as well, because that's my culture. And then just seeing a new culture, which is, being Black and Canadian, and also from the Caribbean as well. So I'm looking forward to whatever you do. It needs to happen like now, because I know you're just on this entrepreneurial stuff, because like I said, jet setting everywhere. One day I'm going to join you in another country. I can't wait, because that would be good.
It's going to happen. I think I know exactly which one I want your help with. Have you ever watched a film called Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I still think to this day, live action, that's the best type of way to depict anime subculture or whatever.
Okay.
I really want to look at it. And I want to do something that's similar to that, but with basketball.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm going to be quite honest, like, you know, NBA 2K Street, like, you know that? I want to have that, but live action. So like literally basketball, like that one's already written. So I just need to get the stuff on the court done or whatever. But my problem right now is VFX, right? I can do a lot, but to where I want it to be, there's something I need. And I feel like I've actually spoken to one of the main producers of that movie. And the budget that's needed for that kind of thing is,
of course,
insane.
Of course.
So, and even just I'm talking about just for a pilot. I'm not going to say the number because I don't know.
But do a pilot, and pilot's better though. Do a pilot instead of trying to do the whole thing. Like,
no, but I'm saying even the amount for just a pilot is great. So it's like but yeah, that's going to be. It's called Ball is Life. So you guys can look out for that.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. Well, Matthew, thank you again for coming on the show. I mean, it was great to catch up in person. We're always communicating anyway, so it doesn't feel any different.
I know, right?
It's good to see your face. It's just good to see your face.
It is. Yes, we should make these mandatory in the little group that we have there.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, we should actually see. Hopefully, I get to see you in person. I know it's not going to be in London. I know that, and I'm trying to leave the country before the end of the year because I need to get out. Haven't left the country.
Where do you want to go?
I want to go to LA. I know I want to go to LA this year, even if it's by myself.
When?
I would love to say November, but it's probably December.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
What's happening in December specifically? You know what? This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna do Miami.
Okay.
For the first to the third, at least. That's Art Basel. So you need to go to that. That's an amazing experience. They also have a lot of film stuff going on then too.
Oh, nice.
And Wynwood is very unapologetically Black. They're actually claiming that they want to be the new Tulsa.
Oh, okay.
You know, the new Black Wall Street. A lot of Black investors, prominent Black investors, have bought up property there and building them up. And then from there, we can go to LA because I think also mid-December there is a film festival that BET does. I believe we'll figure it out.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's now on record, so I'm gonna have to do this now. So we'll sort it out off camera and Zoom. So so where can people find you to check out like your previous work and all your multiple businesses?
All right. Well, you can find all things me for at Design Your Soul on pretty much any social media. Also designyoursoul.com. And the list of my other businesses, it would be Unequal Media, unequalmedia.com. There is Autopilot. There's weareautopilot.com. That is the website making one. And then lastly, there is actually, is that lastly? I was gonna say there's Make Believe. Yeah, there's Make Believe. That one's a production studio. So you know, if it can be consumed on a screen, we do it, and that is BLV.com. A lot of people think it's Boulevard, but it's Believe. So I just let them roll with the list. But yeah,
nice. You know, listening to you, you know, just list where everyone can find you and all your businesses. I'm like, I wonder what your net worth is. Like, I'm just like, I wonder what it is. Don't say, but I just know.
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's probably decent. It's like I just, you know, I've done a lot of investing. I'm just saying, if I were to liquidate everything now, probably good. Other than that, I'm broke. So
yeah. See, the way you're flying around the world, I don't believe that. That's I'm like, what is his net worth? Like, what is his net worth?
I definitely get flued out. That's the good thing about being talented. At least everybody needs to be worth it.
And I hope it's first class as well.
Oh, it's a business. I don't know about first. I haven't flown first class. I've flown private a couple of times, but I haven't been flown first class in forever.
Stunt.
Hear that, people? Fix up.
Well, private, yeah. Okay, you're telling on yourself there. But anyway. Funny. Well, yeah. Well, thanks guys again for listening. You can follow me all of my usual socials. You know them. There's a bunch of them. So yeah, stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.